I came in 5 minutes early that morning, latte in hand, mind already spinning through my mental checklist. Client call at 10, financials to revise by noon, and that HR disaster left behind by the marketing VP's fun initiative that somehow ended in a sexual harassment complaint. Just a typical Monday. The office was quiet, cold, like always, fluorescent lights humming overhead, the industrial scent of printer toner in the air, and that weird rust-colored stain still on the carpet no matter how many times I filed a facilities ticket. I turned the corner to my glass-walled office and nearly dropped my damn coffee. There she was. Samantha fucking Whitmore. The CEO's niece, 24 and oozing nepotism like a perfume, perched on my chair with her stilettos up on my desk, tapping through her phone like she owned the damn lease on the building. Her lips curled into that smug little smirk I'd only seen on girls who never heard the word no without a prenup attached. She didn't look up. "You're late," she said, still thumbing through whatever overfiltered garbage her generation posted. "But it's okay. You don't work here anymore." I blinked. And then blinked again. There was a surreal silence. The kind you only get before someone pulls a trigger in a movie. My fingers tightened around the coffee cup, the lid crackling slightly under pressure. "Excuse me?" I asked, voice like chipped glass. She finally looked up, big lashes, overlined lips, and that sharp-shouldered Zara blazer she probably thought screamed boss bitch. Even though she'd walked in last week as an executive intern, and already managed to call 2 black co-workers urban. "I said," she repeated slowly, like I had a learning disability, "you don't work here anymore. Didn't you get the memo? Uncle Jeff signed off Friday. I'm streamlining operations, and your position was redundant." She made air quotes and giggled. "I've claimed the throne. My desk. My chair. My name still etched on the plaque. My photo of me and Mom in the corner. My throne, as she called it, that I'd bled for 10 years of 60-hour weeks, placating clients with coke habits and executives with God complexes, smiling through boardroom betrayals and cleaning up everyone's messes like corporate Cinderella with a master's degree. And now Barbie with a Wi-Fi password thought she could just waltz in and play CEO cosplay? I swallowed hard, jaw ticking. This wasn't just professional disrespect. This was personal. This was a bloodletting. She wanted to humiliate me. She was humiliating me. "I'll need you to clear your things by the end of the day," she added sweetly, tilting her head. "Oh, and don't forget the little cactus. It's cute but tacky." I didn't move. Didn't speak. I just stared at her. Because in that moment, right there, in the stale artificial light of that overpriced open concept office, I felt something inside me snap like a dry twig. It wasn't rage. It wasn't sadness. It was clarity. Cold. Sharp. Surgical. She thought this was checkmate. She had no idea I was about to flip the whole board. You want to know the funny part? I wasn't even supposed to be there 15 years. I told myself I'd stay 5 max. Just long enough to pay off the student loans, stack some savings, and get the hell out of Ohio. Maybe start that marketing boutique I used to scribble about in my bullet journal. But one promotion turned into another project. One favor for a VP turned into me ghostwriting full decks that got him a goddamn bonus trip to the Caymans. One "can you stay late?" became, "we just assume you'll do it." And I did. I stayed late. I showed up early. I came in during blizzards when even the security guards called out. I ran orientation packets, edited annual reports, cleaned the executive microwave, babysat grown men's egos, and still somehow made it look easy. And for what? So I could get dethroned by a child whose biggest accomplishment was surviving a semester abroad in Florence, without losing her passport? Let me tell you something no one likes to admit. Companies don't reward loyalty. They drain it. They bottle it. They suck it out of you like a mosquito in pearls. And then when you're nothing but a husk with a polite email signature, they toss you like expired yogurt. I remember the first time they stole my work. It was a pitch for the Varelli merger. My idea, my deck, my fucking strategy that turned that mess of a conversation into a contract. And guess whose name got mentioned in the meeting? Greg. Greg, who couldn't convert a PDF if his life depended on it. Greg, who told me I was really articulate for someone from community college. That was year 3. By year 7, I'd stopped correcting people when they gave credit to my male colleagues. What was the point? You say something, you're emotional. You stay quiet, you're complicit. You work twice as hard and you're a threat. You coast and you're lazy. There's no winning the game if the rules were written in invisible ink. But the most humiliating part? No one saw me. Not really. They'd remember I brought the cookies to the office party. That I fixed the printer. That I always know how to talk to the angry clients. But the wins? The hours? The grit? That all got absorbed by the suits above me. Like I was just a sponge for their success. So yeah, when Little Miss Birthright strutted into my space with her synthetic blowout and called it her throne, something old and ugly uncoiled in me. Not rage. Not yet. More like a low, slow burn. A pilot light that had been hissing gas for years, waiting for one idiot with a match. I sat in that corner office for a decade and watched men climb over me on ladders I built with my own hands. Now they want to pretend I never existed? Fine. Let's see how well they sleep when the ghost of the invisible woman starts turning the lights off. Because I might have been quiet. But I was never fucking weak. People always said I was organized, like it was a compliment. Like it was cute. They'd chuckle when I color-coded shared drives. Roll their eyes when I double-checked the version history on documents. Joke that I had control issues because I kept backup PDFs of every finalized report since 2012. But it wasn't control. It was survival. You work in corporate America as a woman, especially one without a trust fund, Ivy League pedigree, or an uncle on the board, and you learn real quick that your best defense is documentation. So I saved everything. Every email where my ideas got dismissed and later recycled under someone else's name. Every budget spreadsheet I restructured. Every deck I built from scratch but never got to present. Every time a manager said, "Just between us," before asking me to do something unethical. I saved Slack threads, calendar invites, internal memos, and those quiet little HR suggestions that were never officially written down but always somehow my fault. Hell, I even saved voicemails. I had an entire folder titled "In Case I Snap." It started as a joke. Then it wasn't. And now it was an arsenal. That morning, after Samantha kicked me off my own desk like a dog who'd overstayed its welcome, I didn't pack up my cactus. I walked to my car in silence, got in and drove straight home. No tears, no drama, no screaming. Just a strange, sterile calm. Like I'd been cut open and all the nerves had been scooped out. Or maybe cauterized. I sat down at my dining room table with my laptop, cracked open my external hard drive, and clicked into the folder tree I hadn't touched in over a year. Throne Stunt Prep, I renamed it. Inside, a meticulous library of every decision that ever mattered in that company. Many of them signed, dated, and traceable straight back to the incompetent mouths that claimed they had no idea how the client information got leaked, or why that vendor mysteriously got overpaid, or how come the company just happened to dodge that discrimination suit last year. You see, it's not that I didn't trust anyone. It's that I knew them. And now, for the first time in years, I looked at my archive, not as a fortress but as a weapon. There were contracts Samantha's daddy forgot I'd ghostwrote. Expense reports that didn't match public filings. Emails from the CEO himself approving shady, off-the-record, layoffs that violated at least 3 clauses of our compliance policy. None of it would mean much on its own. But together? It was enough to make a boardroom sweat. And the best part? None of them remembered I had it. Because they never saw me as dangerous. Just efficient. Invisible. Forgettable. Perfect. I smiled for the first time all day. Let the princess play her throne games. She had no idea she'd just taken the crown off a woman who'd been quietly building guillotines. The thing about holding the match is knowing the second you strike it, everything changes. There's a moment, right before the flare, right before the spark leaps into dry kindling, where your hand is still clean, where you can still put it down. Walk away. Be the bigger person. Take the high road. Let karma do its slow, molasses dance while you spiral in therapy and eat too many almonds. But I was done with almonds. And karma was too fucking slow. I sat in my kitchen, hunched over the glow of my laptop like a war widow sifting through letters, the overhead light buzzing faintly. My cat, Newton, watched from the windowsill with judgmental indifference. My phone buzzed again. Probably another passive-aggressive check-in, from HR wrapped in vanilla-scented toxicity. I ignored it, because I had found it. Buried in a subfolder labeled Q2 Strategy, internal only was a chain of emails dated 6 months ago. From Samantha, CC'd to 2 C-suite execs and one guy in legal who'd later resigned to spend more time with his family after a surprise audit. Subject line: Accelerated Revenue Strategy, Discretion Advised. What followed was a clearly illegal plan to repurpose grant money meant for diversity initiatives into her executive rebranding campaign. A campaign that, if memory served, included private influencers flown out for a consultant retreat in Turks and Caicos 3 weeks after she started her internship. The language in the email was careful, but not careful enough. Phrases like "off the books," "realign optics," and "Jeff says it's fine, he'll smooth it if needed," were peppered between bulleted lists and timelines. But it was the last attachment that sealed it. An Excel file, with fake invoices and real bank account routing numbers. And her name was all over it. I stared at it for a long time. My cursor hovered over the paperclip icon. I clicked. Then I opened a new message. To legal@companyname.com. Subject: Internal concern. Body: empty. Attachment: Samantha_alt budget_invoice fraud.xlsx. Email chain forwarded. Signature: still default, just my name, no pleasantries. My finger hovered over the mouse. My breath felt shallow. Was this it? Was I about to blow up a decade of my own networking, my references, my non-competes, my resume? Would this make me untouchable? A whistleblower? A liability? Probably. But I also knew this. If I didn't click send, I'd be complicit. And I was done being part of the quiet. My thumb clicked. Whoosh. The message disappeared like a stone dropped into deep water. No dramatic music. No thunderclap. Just the gentle ding of message sent. I stared at the screen, at the empty white space of the email body, at the nothingness left behind after the bullet leaves the barrel. My stomach churned. Grim satisfaction clawed its way through the dread. I didn't know what would come next: lawsuits, blacklisting, or a very tense call from Jeff. But I did know this. I hadn't just pushed over a domino. I'd yanked out the cornerstone of their whole little empire. They say corporate power is about money. It's not. It's about who can make who sweat. Somewhere across town, in a 15th floor conference room with chilled sparkling water and chairs that cost more than my first car, a partner meeting was dragging its feet through another performative slideshow about Q4 synergy alignment. The usual bullshit symphony: buzzwords, graphs, nodding heads pretending to care. The CEO, Jeffrey H. Whitmore, king of cufflinks and broken promises, was halfway through a half-hearted pitch about cultural consolidation, whatever the hell that meant, when his phone buzzed on the table. So did William Cowens. William, the firm's in-house legal counsel, aka the kind of man who looked like he was born pale and had been getting paler ever since, glanced down. One new email. No subject line. Just an attachment and a forwarded thread. He opened it. First his thumb stopped scrolling. Then his whole face did. In a room full of sharks, it takes a lot to make someone visibly recoil. But that's what happened. A flicker of panic cracked through his professional veneer like someone had pulled the emergency brake on a speeding train. "Jeff," he croaked. Jeff didn't look up. William didn't ask again. He just picked up his phone, stood, and walked behind Jeff's chair, leaned down like he was whispering about stock options or merger terms. He handed the phone over. Jeff glanced at it with the impatient detachment of a man who thinks he's seen it all. And then he read the subject line: Internal concern. By the time he got halfway through Samantha's attached invoice doc, his face had gone the color of old printer paper. "Jesus Christ," he muttered. The room hushed. The slideshow froze on a slide that said brand trust metrics. Jeff closed the email, looked around the room, and for the first time in years, didn't perform leadership. No spin. No smile. Just raw, concentrated calculation behind cold eyes. He handed the phone back to William. Then said, quietly but firmly, "Call her. Immediately." Across town, in my tiny apartment that smelled like burnt coffee and betrayal, I sat barefoot in leggings and an oversized hoodie, pretending to scroll through job listings I knew I wouldn't apply to. And then my phone rang. Unknown number. I didn't answer right away. Let it buzz. Let it buzz again. Then clicked decline. Seconds later, a text came through. Jeff Whitmore would like to speak with you. Can we schedule a call ASAP? I stared at the screen. A part of me, scarred, trained, corporate conditioned, still twitched. Still flinched like I was the one in trouble. Like I was about to be scolded, silenced, erased. But a different part of me? She smiled. They weren't calling to fire me. They were calling to contain me. I wasn't disposable anymore. I was dangerous. Corporate gossip spreads faster than mold in a breakroom fridge. By Wednesday morning, the office was a live wire. Too quiet in all the wrong ways, the kind of silence that makes your spine itch. No blaring Bluetooth speakers from sales. No obnoxious throat clearing from accounts payable. Just keyboards ticking like nervous typewriters and Slack statuses flipping from green to away, like rats abandoning a ship mid-sink. I didn't go in, of course. No one asked me to, and I wasn't about to volunteer myself for a parade of tight smiles and faux concerned nods. Instead, I monitored the chaos from my laptop, sitting cross-legged on my couch, coffee in one hand and a live feed of LinkedIn recruiter messages in the other. The first sign something had shifted came in the form of a press release. A bland, evasive statement about internal restructuring and compliance review. Then came the anonymous tip that landed on Reddit's corporate whistleblower thread, complete with partial screenshots and a fiery title that included the phrase, "Luxury Retreat Fraud." It wasn't mine, but it was definitely someone riding the wave I started. By Thursday, the trickle had become a flood. Auditors. Regulators. 2 canceled investor luncheons. An HR town hall that lasted 11 minutes before everyone realized no one was answering actual questions. And Samantha? Oh, Samantha was suddenly very quiet. Gone were the stilettos and performative TikTok struts through the hallway. No more claiming the throne. No more pink folders with her initials in rose gold foil. Her office blinds stayed closed. Her calendar went mysteriously blank. I heard from a still loyal receptionist that she cried in the bathroom after legal pulled her into a closed-door meeting with 2 unfamiliar men in dark suits. Poetic, really. But I'll be honest, it wasn't as sweet as I thought it'd be. I had fantasized about revenge for years. The dramatic downfall, the crocodile tears, the public unmasking of everyone who ever stole from me and called it mentoring. I thought I'd feel powerful, righteous, triumphant. Instead, I felt uneasy, because it wasn't just Samantha unraveling. It was everything. The company I'd built my damn adult life around was cracking like old porcelain under pressure I never expected to unleash. The whispers were growing. Have you seen the Q2 numbers? They say she might go to jail. Someone said the grant money came from a government account, federal. The same colleagues who used to treat me like a dependable utility now whispered my name like it was a curse word or a legend. I was either the hero or the witch, depending on which hallway you were in. Some people sent me private messages of solidarity. Others blocked me altogether. Even my LinkedIn inbox was a war zone, half recruiters, half reporters. One woman from Bloomberg left a voicemail asking if I'd be willing to go on record. I didn't call her back. And Jeff? Silence. No call. No email. Just the black hole of corporate panic, pulling everything in. I stood in front of my fridge that night, eating cold leftovers straight from the container. When it finally hit me, I didn't just throw a grenade at my enemies. I lit a match in a field soaked with gasoline I helped pour. And part of me, some strange, guilty, shattered part, was still loyal to the thing I'd just set on fire. They didn't send lawyers first. They sent people. Familiar faces. The ones who used to breeze past my desk without so much as a nod unless they needed something last minute or beneath them. Like fixing a typo in their pitch deck, or covering a client call they were too hungover to take. Now they showed up in my inbox like regretful ghosts from a Christmas special. Warm greetings, loaded apologies, and an uncomfortable amount of exclamation points. Hey, just checking in, rough week, huh? We'd love to talk. Over lunch? Our treat. No pressure, but Jeff's been asking about you directly. The audacity of it made me laugh out loud over my morning cereal. Then came the real visit. He showed up in person. Jeffrey H. Whitmore. The master gaslighter, purveyor of false praise and dead-end promises. In a navy coat probably worth more than my car, standing in the hallway outside my apartment like a door-to-door politician, holding a paper bag that turned out to contain 2 overpriced croissants and an almond milk latte. My usual. According to some long-forgotten assistant he probably barked the order at on the drive over. He didn't smile when I opened the door. He looked tired, sweaty, almost human. "May I come in?" he asked. I stepped aside. Barely. We sat at my kitchen table, the same one where I'd drafted 1,000 decks he took credit for, and stared at each other over coffee that neither of us drank. "I want to apologize," he began, "for how things played out." I raised an eyebrow. "That's cute. Is that the line legal approved?" He winced, just a little. "I didn't know Samantha was well. We're handling it." "Right. By throwing her under the bus you're all still pretending you didn't help build." Silence. Then he tried again, this time shifting tone. "The executive pivot. Less regret, more strategy. You have leverage. That's clear. We're prepared to offer you a package. Severance, certainly. But also, consulting status. Discretionary bonuses. Reputational cleanup. NDAs, of course, but we can make this a win-win." He said win-win like it didn't make my skin crawl. "You people are unbelievable," I muttered, standing up to pace. "You ignored me for years. Used me like a damn printer. And now that the house is on fire, suddenly I'm your most important asset." "We can't afford a public battle," he admitted, his voice low now. "The investors are skittish. The board's asking questions. If you cooperate." "Cooperate?" I echoed, turning on him with a bitter laugh. "Is that what you're calling it? Because from where I'm standing, it looks like begging." He stood to then. Dropped the PR tone. Let something ugly slip out. "You're not untouchable, you know." There it was. The veiled threat. The real Jeff. And I smiled, slow and ice-cold. "Funny," I said, tilting my head. "How I became valuable the moment you started sinking." He didn't speak after that. Just nodded stiffly, collected his jacket, and left without touching his croissant. I watched him from the window as he disappeared into his car, knowing full well this wasn't over. There'd be more calls, more offers, maybe even more threats. But something inside me had shifted permanently. They weren't speaking to an assistant anymore. They were speaking to a force. And yet, the strangest thing lingered after the door shut. I wasn't happy. Not really. Not satisfied the way I thought I'd be. Power is lonely when it comes too late. Because once you've stopped needing their approval, there's no one left to impress. That it didn't happen all at once. It never does. Collapse in the corporate world isn't some dramatic explosion. It's a slow, grotesque peeling. Like rot working its way up the spine of a once pristine fruit bowl, everything glossy until it's touched. And then it caves in. The first headline broke on a Tuesday morning. Just a quiet little piece buried in the business section of a mid-tier finance blog. Family-owned firm faces internal scrutiny over misuse of grant funds. No names, no accusations, just a suggestion. By Thursday, it hit Bloomberg, then the Wall Street Journal. By Sunday, it was trending on Twitter. They didn't say my name, not once. But Samantha's? They said it with teeth. Influencer CEO niece implicated in misappropriation of federal funds. Privileged or corrupt. The downfall of a LinkedIn girl boss. From boardroom to bathroom breakdown. The fall of a corporate princess. She deleted her Instagram first. Then her TikTok. Then her entire LinkedIn profile vanished, like it had never existed. The throne she'd so proudly claimed became a punchline. Investors started pulling out one after the other, like rats sensing the ocean. A major partner firm paused collaboration indefinitely. 3 client accounts I once managed personally filed breach of ethics complaints. The Diversity Grant Committee launched a full audit, citing deliberate obfuscation in past financial reports. And Jeff? Oh, Jeff was drowning. He did what they all do, blamed communication failures, distanced himself from bad actors, offered transparency without actually revealing a damn thing. But it was too late. A leaked internal email revealed he'd signed off on alternative budgeting for Samantha's campaign. The board launched a vote of no confidence. He didn't even make it to the quarterly shareholder meeting. He resigned before he was pushed. The press release used the word retire. But everyone knew better. I watched it unfold from my apartment. Wrapped in a blanket, Netflix paused on some forgettable show I wasn't really watching. There was no party, no champagne, no wild cackling as I danced on the ashes of their empire. Just silence. The kind of silence that echoes inside your own ribs. I had won. They were humiliated, dismantled, and ruined. But the wreckage felt bigger than revenge. Because that building, that company, those hallways full of synthetic air and toxic meetings, I'd once believed in it. I lived in it. Poured my time, my youth, my goddamn health into it like it meant something. And now, just another headline in a news cycle. Just another cautionary tale. People started reaching out again. Recruiters, ex-coworkers, even an old manager who once told me I needed to smile more, now wanted to grab lunch and chat about future possibilities. I ignored them, not out of spite, out of exhaustion. Because when the tower falls, everyone wants to know how you pulled it down. No one wants to talk about what it cost to stand under it for 15 years and pretend it wasn't crushing you. This wasn't victory. This was aftermath. The building looked smaller when I walked in. Isn't that always the way? It was the first time I'd stepped foot in that lobby since the day Samantha sat at my desk with her patent leather entitlement and declared herself queen of a queendom she didn't understand. Now 2 weeks later, the throne was ash. Security barely looked up as I scanned in with my old badge. It still worked, which told me everything I needed to know about how fast this company was falling apart. Or maybe they left it active on purpose. A final olive branch. A final mistake. The reception desk was unmanned. The waiting area, once full of sleek furniture and fake optimism, looked abandoned, like a stage between acts. I walked past the glass conference rooms. Half were empty. The other half were war zones. Whispered arguments, red faces, HR reps trying to put out fires with broken policy manuals. Samantha's old office door was open. Her throne was gone. Just a hollow desk and a coffee stain on the carpet that looked suspiciously like it had been scrubbed in a hurry. No name plate. No flowers. No fairy tale ending. I didn't pause. I didn't gloat. I just went to mine, my actual office, and opened the door with that same quiet hand I'd used every day for a decade. The air was stale. No one had touched anything. My cactus was still there, drooping but alive. A miracle in and of itself. I packed slowly, not because I was sentimental, not because I needed time, but because I could. Because no one was rushing me. No one was breathing down my neck, asking for one last favor or pretending to forget my name. The chaos around me buzzed like static. Footsteps, raised voices, the sharp scent of panic in the air. But in my office, it was still, peaceful almost. As I slid the last folder into my box, I found it. A post-it note I'd written to myself during some long-forgotten all-nighter. Don't let them convince you this is the prize. I smiled. On my way out, I didn't say goodbye. Not to the receptionist. Not to the HR team with their staged concern. Not to the former coworkers suddenly too afraid to make eye contact. I didn't slam the door. I didn't post a selfie. I didn't broadcast my power. I just left. Calm. Quiet. Complete. As the elevator descended, I allowed myself one final thought. One truth, clear as glass and sharp as truth always is. She said she took the throne. All I did was forward one email and watch the castle burn. Outside, the late afternoon sun hit my skin like something clean. I walked to my car with no job title, no plan, no corporate leash left around my neck. But for the first time in years, I wasn't invisible. I was free. And if that freedom cost me peace, so be it. Let them rebuild with the ashes I left behind. Or better yet, let the ruins stand. A monument to the woman they never saw coming.